My name is Sir Joseph Ari. I'm the Director General, Chief Executive of the Industrial Training Fund, ITF.
It's on your budget defense for 2022, but I think that it will be important that you take us through your 2021 budget. Let us see the performance so that we can understand your projections into 2022. So the DG ITF, you have the floor, please. Thank you.
The year 2022 budget of the Industrial Training Fund.
2021, you mean?
Yes, I'm coming to that, sir.
Then DG, please, as you are going through, please let us also take us through the...
Has been prepared in strict adherence to the financial regulations and other extant laws of the federal government, as well as the general rules of the fund. Also to state that the document was extensively discussed and defended by our directors, the area offices, and area managers in line with the corporate objectives of the organization, and particular reference to the agenda of the present administration. The projected total revenue, Your Excellency, of the ITF for year 2022 is 42,513,335,452 naira only. And if you juxtapose that with 2021, as directed by the distinguished chairman, you would find out that the three sources of revenue in 2021 gave rise to a total budget figure of 44,514,553,320 naira, as against that of 2022, which is being proposed at 42,513,335,452. This represents a drop, Your Excellencies, in revenue of the sum of 2,001,217,868 naira only in the 2022 proposed budget when you compare it with 2021. And this has arisen as a result of the economic downturn and the post-COVID effects, which have impacted on the ultimate performance of particularly the OPS, the organized private sector, and public enterprises generally, who form the bulk of our clientele. It therefore justifies the realistic benchmark upon which we have based the revenue target for year 2022. We are confident and hopeful, Your Excellencies, that the revenue profile of the fund will improve in the nearest future. The expenditure, the recurrent expenditure estimated in the budget of 2022 is 39,644,490,000 naira, 80 naira only, while the estimated capital expenditure stands at 2,291,872,124 naira only. We may need to mention here, Your Excellencies, that the ITF adheres strictly to due process and other relevant financial guidelines in all her transactions. I would now move to the next page, which is page 1, which is the summary of the budget as well as the percentage of the budget performance, the spreadsheet, page 1. In 2021, the training funds, which is the training contribution, was budgeted at 41,094,250,000. And what was actually realized was 31 billion, that's as at June 2021, 31,416,067,113.34 kobo. This represents 76% of the total budget. The following is also the course fees which has been captured. So when you add the training funds, the course fees, and the other income for 2021, the budget approved was 44,514,553,320 naira. Performance level came to 31,730,588,655.13 kobo, representing 71%. For recurrent expenditure, there are 8 line items in all under recurrent expenditure, made up of reimbursement, grants, direct training costs, staff emolument, and other staff costs, the Governing Council office and general expenses, as well as financial charges. Those amount to what was budgeted was 39,042,157,718. As at June, what has been expended by way of performance came to 18,943,101,234.04 kobo, representing 49%. It should be noted here, Your Excellencies, that year 2021 capital expenditure has not yet been implemented, which is the next stage. That is why you see the zero performance level there. The procurement processes are still ongoing. Number one item on the recurrent expenditure, which is reimbursement, is equally ongoing. This is because it is usually in the last quarter of the year that is the peak period for the payment of reimbursement to employers of labor. The next page, page 2, refers to the summary of the year 2022 budget. And the summary has it that training contribution would account for 41,030,500,000. The course fees would equally account for 1,250,005,452 naira, while other income will account for 232,830,000. This is what has given rise to the total income of 42,513,335,452 naira. The expenditure also, as captured at that page, includes or has to do with 8 items totaling 39,644,490,080 naira. This also brings a deficit of 2,868,845,372 when we surplus, a surplus of 2.8 billion. And the surplus, then the capital expenditure is 2,291,872,124 naira, making a grand total of expenditure of 41,936,362,204 naira. There we have also a surplus of 576,973,248 naira. Your Excellencies, the following spreadsheet has to do with the entire year 2022 proposed consolidated budget, talking about the various area offices of the organization, from the directorate to the departments, and as well as to the area offices, the field offices of the fund. It still represents the same figures that I have given, but it gives a detailed analysis of what each of the area offices is charged, giving a total of the figure we have given which is 41,936,362,203 naira 66 kobo. The summary of the capital budget for 2022 is the next sheet at page 4. And it brings a total of 2,291,872,124 naira, as I explained earlier under the summary and the performance. Your Excellencies, like I said, page 5, again, is the budget details.
DG,
Your Excellency, sir.
please, I think at this point, let's invite contributions on the 2021 performance.
Okay, sir.
You know, before we now move into the 2022 performance.
Okay, sir.
2022 proposals.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand? I
Yes,
think
sir.
it will be a lot clearer than. So you can pause for now. So let's invite comments from members on the 2021 performance.
The Director General and Chief Executive. You have explained some few line items for our noting, where you said note that the 2021 capital expenditure has not been implemented, and the Director General, this is November, in the event, National Assembly decided not to extend the capital budget cycle from December. So I wonder, how did you intend to carry out the 2021 capital projects? That is one. Two, I'm aware that the Budget Office and of course the Ministry of Finance has written to some of the MDAs that are partially funded by their IGR to remit 50% of the IGR, which is in compliance of the Finance Act 2021. So if that is affected by your organization, I wonder how you are going to cope up even to pay your salaries by the time you have paid the 1% contribution. Although when I was acting chairman of the committee, I have written to committee on appropriation, and this is budget time. So maybe you need to feed this committee, how did you carry out the compliance of the 50% remittance to CRF? Thank you.
So just note all the questions. Yes, so we'll just take them.
Oh, DG. I'm not Excellency. I'm Senator Isaac Jibrin. I have some issues here with the figures and then with the choice of location of the training program for 2021 as it affects my senatorial district. Talking of the figures on page 1, okay, you have the 2021 budget, approved budget. Here, page 1 here. You have 2021 approved budget, okay? You have the performance as at June, okay? What I expect to be the next column is the projected performance up to December this year. No. Which page 3? Yeah? That says what? Yeah? This one? Yeah? This is 2022. This is 2022. Page what? Do you have the figures as at December, projected to December this year? Yes, sir. Where is it? You don't? Yeah. Let me tell you, don't have it. Okay? There's supposed to be a column there. We are talking from accounting perspective. Okay, you cannot have performance of June and say that, and here you see performance of percentage of performance in 2021. That is not the performance in 2021. Do you understand? What you need to do is to have a projected column, okay, that takes you to December 2021, and it is on the basis of that that you now project for 2022. That is the way it's supposed to be done, accounting-wise. Then secondly,
revenue funds,
yes,
they derive from prior year.
yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So I get what you're trying to, with the education you want. You see, you cannot use this. As long as it's prior year basis, you are collecting from employers of labor.
But we don't have that explanation here. I don't understand. Maybe I need to understand the working of the system.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, sorry, please. There is one point I thought we should. When we are doing this kind of thing, they are supposed to report to us on accrual basis. You guys who are accountants.
Yes, we don't
So
have
the point he has raised, what I would have agreed with is that we are now in which month? We are in November. So ordinarily, even if you have submitted this information before,
Where?
as at the time you are coming today, my colleague, can you be part of my conversation? As at the time you are coming today, you ought to have updated it up to October. Because if you have done that, it will have become very easier for him to now see what you have done, what is remaining, if it will be actually suffice for the 2 months. I think we just came from trade and investment. We had similar thing. And that was exactly what we were telling the person. It becomes easier for you to now see that, oh, the next 2 months, what is the balance? But now we are in November, and you are appearing before us and giving us information only up to June. Doesn't show that you are having a strong handle on your bid. I think that is a very valid point.
You have other income, okay? That is line 3. Your other income, to me, is even much more than the course fee. That is the second line. Okay, when you have other income, you naturally, everybody expects that it to be something like residual, okay? But when you have significant other income, what you need to do is to tell us these other incomes, okay, and develop those income lines. That is the same page. You develop those income lines, I think you understand, into major sources of income. It guides you, okay? Do you understand? It guides you, because when you have this 2 billion, okay, and a cost fee, which is even a main source of income, is about 1 billion. If your other income is more than one of your major sources of income, it means that in itself becomes a major source of income, and you have to develop it. We need to know what these items are. We will guide you on the way to develop those items into major sources of income. That is number. Then number 3. Now, this is where I have major challenge. I've gone through your training program for 2021. I'm from Kogi East Senatorial District. There is no sign of anything happening in Kogi East Senatorial District. What you have here is only Kogi West. Kogi Central has not been represented in all the programs you said you did in 2021. I want to know what guides your choice of states and senatorial districts for these training programs. I want to know. Thank you.
As an addendum, because the distinguished senator has raised a point. If you go through this spreadsheet, number 1, showing the various interventions or whatever the DG calls. The importance of this ITF cannot be overemphasized at the time where the federal government says it's not going to provide employment opportunities, and so people will rely on the entrepreneurship. And so the core mandate of ITF, by my understanding, is that they have to show Nigerians the other way of having self-reliance. So like my colleague says, I look at it here, in one of these subjects here, you said you are going to train people on, I think, one of the skill acquisition center, you said you are establishing in New York. And I'm here 3 years in this committee. And I'm from Igbo Senatorial District. And there's nothing, Igbo is noted for raffia making. Making of shoes with raffia, making of hats with raffia, with bags with raffia. I thought, Akwa Ibom Northwest. So I thought you would have, when you are trying to identify areas of impartation, then you should have at least consulted most of us in this committee.
Observations and also the advice given. Let me first of all start with that, the Budget Office Directive in respect of the Finance Act 2020. I would equally call the Director of Procurement to explain the first issue regarding the implementation of the 2021 budget. But I need to place on record the assistance of this committee to the federal government to inform them of the very critical role of the Industrial Training Fund and the need to really give some level of exemption to the organization. This was demonstrated by a special letter from the committee to the government, as well as to the Appropriation Committee. We are very grateful, sir. And on the implementation of the 2021 budget, which is still in progress, I would like to invite the Director of Procurement to shed more light, Mr. Suleiman Ningi, to answer that question with your permission, sirs.
Country, and we know how it goes. Actually, in ITF, we try as much as possible after approval of the budget is granted, we advertise all processes and procedures of procurement must be followed duly. And we don't give award of contract when there is no cash backing. Being a self-generating organization, we don't normally give award. Cash backing is very essential in the award of contract. It's against the Procurement Act to give job where cash backing is not available. We have to look at what we have generated. The level of our generation will determine what the next line of action to be taken in the procurement processes. As at now, the DG has approved that Tuesday next week will be the date for the tenders board of ITF for 2021 capital project. Immediately after the tenders board, the following week, I assure these distinguished senators, this distinguished committee, that award letters will be issued out, and for supplies, before the end of this year, all supplies will be effected and payment will equally be made. For capital project which indicate most likely building and renovation, these are ongoing, which will go up to 2022. Thank you very much.
We have actually submitted to the Secretariat the actual budget for 2021 for 2022 up to September. So it's been submitted, sir. And I asked the Director of Finance to show it to Senator Jibrin accordingly. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. With regards to the observation of...
Secretariat, you still have to, you still have to bring it to us for further review. That is very important.
With respect to distinguished Senator Jibrin's comments from Kogi East, I wish to inform this distinguished committee that one of our very special industrial skills training center is in Kogi State, in Lokoja, and it is in different trade areas, and is one of the few in the North Central. And normally our training takes into cognizance all citizens of Kogi State, irrespective of where they come from. But normally what we do is to liaise with the state government, which gives us a focal agency to work with. But with the observation of the distinguished senator, I would personally get across to you, sir, and also ensure that our impact is felt in your senatorial district, because we also use this as feedback to see where we are lagging behind, so that we can make some progress. So I will definitely get across to you, distinguished sir.
Thank you, sir.
Not to talk about you, North.
Distinguished Senator, sir, at the last budget defense meeting, you remember you raised such an issue. And I want to inform you that Bauchi Industrial Skills Training Center is in this year's budget with vocational wings. And the Director of Procurement, who is from Bauchi, can attest to that, sir. Yes, sir. It is already in this year's budget, sir. Okay.
And who knows? You said next year's budget. Did you say next year?
No, sir. This year, sir.
No.
This year's budget.
Training on which at COE Azari. Training on which at COE Azari.
Excuse me, sir. For Bauchi, the building of the vocational ISTC is this year. It's in this year's budget. Then Bauchi is one of the only few states where we took our training on wheels, the mobile unit procured from Brazil. We had special sessions at Azare and in Bauchi town, and the College of Education. Distinguished sir, actually, His Excellency Distinguished Senator Danjumala is very much aware of our presence and impact in Kaduna because I personally link up with him on a regular basis. And Kaduna even heads the zonal headquarters of Northwest in terms of our training.
It is Northwest. Northwest, not in Kaduna South. You see, I told you. It is in Northwest, it is not in Kaduna South. That's none of my business. Erufai is Erufai, and Senator La is Senator La.
Even as a federal government does not differentiate between Kaduna South or Kaduna whatever. But the luck here is that the distinguished Senator La is like a father to the DG. And he personally gets across most of the time, sir.
Other incomes, exactly.
Yes, sir.
So it's good to educate us on it so that we understand it. Thank you.
On the income lines and other sources.
Other income sources.
Yes, sir, other income sources. I will invite either the Director of Finance or Director of Audit to please answer that.
It's okay.
Our esteemed senators, sir, good afternoon. The ITF generates its other incomes from the following. We have interest on vehicle loans, interest on housing loans, rent on staff quarters, profit or loss on asset disposal. We have school fees from our school. We have course fees. We have contractors' registration fees.
Satisfied with that? It's okay.
So those are the areas.
Thank you very much. So on that note, I think the next thing to look at then is the 20. Do I have your attention?
Yes, sir.
So you now need to take us through the 2022 before we conclude on the budget. I think clearly the role of ITF is very clear or is very, very germane to the economy of this country, particularly the way the world is evolving. You understand? So part of what I would like to say, and with the support of my colleagues as well, I believe very strongly that as we hear of vocational centers that, it's been put together across the various part of the country, I think it's important for us to pick one or two of them to oversight it properly, and I will explain. As we are moving from the Industrial Revolution to the age of innovation and all of that, it is also very important that the vocational centers that we have, they are very much in line with those evolution. Because, you see, it is in the interest of our youth. We don't want to continue to produce youth that will not be able to fit into the employment world. You understand? And the only way, you are a major agency that should be at the forefront of this. So DG, what I will tell you and your team is to make necessary arrangement for us. If you have one air in Abuja, I think it would be nice for us to oversight, and also,
One in Southern Kaduna.
yeah, and for those, exactly, that's one. That is one. Then, also, you have explained the issues around the implementation of the capital budget. It is very important, particularly to members, and also to attest to the effectiveness of what you are doing. And also, the issue around the breakdown of your 2021 budget up to September, you said you have given it to the Secretariat. I think it's still important that you circulate it to members. You understand? And on that note, I think we can bring this to a close.
I move.
Thank you.